Tonight is a festival of Sukkos, known as Zman Simchatenu, the time of our celebration, the time of our joy. It's a festival filled with celebration, filled with simcha, and also filled with beautiful mitzvot. One of the mitzvahs of Sukkos, of course, is the lulav and the etrog. We take these four species together, the palm branch, the myrtle, the willow, and of course the etrog. Put them together, wave them in different directions. Every day of Sukkot besides Shabbos, it has so many different symbolisms, so many different meanings. One of the more famous ones is that each one of these four kinds represent different people at different levels, on different journeys. We bring them together, signifying Jewish unity, coming together and togetherness. But in the Talmud it discusses many, many laws that are necessary to make a lulav and an etrog kosher. There's a few things that we need. First of all, the Talmud tells us that the etrog, and the other species as well, but let's focus on the etrog, needs to be complete. It cannot have a missing part. It needs to be shalem, perfect. It also needs to be beautiful. Beautiful means it cannot have scabs, dots. It's got to be a beautiful fruit. And also, it cannot be yavesh. It cannot be dried out. If you have a dried, shriveled out etrog or a shriveled out lulav, it's invalid. Now there's a very interesting law, and it goes like this. That all of these criteria are only for the first day. Afterwards, for the rest of Sukkot, only some of them apply. So for example, I'm not recommending this, but for example, technically speaking, after the first day, the etrog still needs to be beautiful, it still cannot be dried out, but does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be complete. In fact, the Talmud tells us an incredible story of a great sage, Rabbi Hanina, who actually, during Sukkot, would take a bite out of the estrog, a piece out of the estrog to eat, and be left with an incomplete estrog, beautiful but incomplete, use it for the mitzvah. Now, there are lots of halachic analysis and discussion around these laws, which we're not going to go into now. But what I want to share with you is perhaps a lesson we can learn from this concept. On the first day of Sukkot, we have perfection, we have complete, because it's nice to know what perfection looks like. But for the rest of Sukkot, we are taught that beauty doesn't always have to come with perfection. In fact, beauty very often does not come with perfection. To have inner beauty, to have real beauty, symbolizing the beauty of being a real good human being, a meaningful human being, a spiritual human being, we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. What's the most important part? The most important part is that we belong to something that grows. You'll notice that all the four kinds come from something that grows, because growth is what makes us beautiful. Growth is the beauty of the human experience. And as long as we are not dried up, we're not shriveled up, we're full of life, vibrance, we're joyous, we're celebrating our growth, we're taking a next step. As long as we're growing, as long as we're always taking the next step in our relationships, in our spiritual journey, in our mitzvot, as long as we always have that vitality and that vibrance and that freshness, we don't need to be perfect. Beauty, it's still a beautiful fruit, even though we're not perfect. That's one of the lessons we learn from this interesting law of lulav and etrog. I want to take this opportunity to wish each one of you a Chag Sameach, a really, really happy Sukkot and Simchat Torah, and may the celebration of this Yom Tov generate joy and simcha for the entire year. Good Yom Tov.